Jill has been a veteran in mobile and digital over the last couple of years. Excited to talk about content strategies. They do some great stuff at Ellen. But first, why don't we talk a little bit about your background and kind of the things that you've done leading up to this and kind of how we met. I guess we first met when you were at
Glue Mobile.
Glue Mobile, makers of the Kardashian game?
Kardashian game, yeah,
really?
Absolutely.
Thankfully you weren't there when the Kim Kardashian game came out.
I don't know, it set them up to do quite well.
So Glue's been around for quite some time. It was mobile video game 1.0, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Things were different then?
Things were different. I got involved in the mobile space over 10 years ago. Matt was at Verizon at the time. The world was flip phones, and we definitely were not thinking about advertising quite the same way, although I think we were fumbling around in a Fox Sports mobile app. But suffice it to say that both on the other side of the economic change and the iPhone coming out and Android, the world of mobile has progressed.
App Store changed everything?
Changed everything. I mean, I think the biggest problem in the old days was there were no two people having the same experience. Every device was different, and the way you bought was different, and the pricing was even potentially different if I was on AT&T and you were Verizon. And so there was just no way to get any water cooler conversation going. There was no way to share the fun of if I was playing Crossy Road and wanted you to check it out, that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. You then spent some time at HSN, and when I think of HSN, I think of old ladies that are buying Ronco rotisserie grills. Yeah, is that the audience?
Well, there's definitely some of that. Yeah, it was a very interesting transition. I left Glue and went to HSN in 2011 because, at that point it was less about a single device and more about how we were now getting an ecosystem in media between television and all of digital. And in fact, when I first went to HSN, TV and digital were sort of very different. In fact, digital was called .com, and it was 2011. And there really was no mobile business to speak of. And what we did was we brought the two together in an ecosystem and thought about it through the lens of who is the customer and who's the potential customer. And yes, while there are some older ladies at home watching daytime television or live television at night when they couldn't sleep, there were also a lot of young women who we were able to get to engage with us through mobile. And we grew mobile to about a $300 million business in 2.5 years.
Not too bad.
That was a lot of jewelry and beauty and vacuum cleaners that people were happily buying on their mobile device.
I love it. And so now you've landed at Ellen. Could there be anyone cooler than Ellen? Really?
Not as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the other press here picked that quote up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, when I think of, kind of happiness and feel good, I think of Disney and I think of Ellen.
Yeah. I think the incredible thing about Ellen is she's sort of having this major moment right now that's transcending daytime television. And a big part of the draw for me was, frankly, to continue what I was seeing at HSN, where there was a potential to create an ecosystem between TV using the power of television, which should never be underestimated, and tying it into other experiences that people could have on mobile. And regardless of whether they were on our app, like Ellen Tube, which we launched last fall, or playing a game, which we'll talk about in a minute, or watching Ellen clips on YouTube, what we were seeing is that much younger women and men as well are coming in through these digital devices, and they're just not watching linear television, but it doesn't mean that they can't completely love everything that Ellen is putting out from a content standpoint.
My 5-year-old and my 8-year-old daughters are addicted to Ellen on YouTube, and they love watching, I think it's Rosie and Sophia Grace.
Sophia Grace and Rosie, yeah.
They've become hits themselves. So Ellen, I feel like she's been on this tidal wave, right? I mean, she's this publicity genius, and I think this is what they call the photo that broke the internet.
Exactly.
Right? Before Kim Kardashian, by the way.
Right, there you go. I think what's amazing about this, Twitter moment is that it really became this watershed moment where we were all watching the Oscars, and actually I've gone back and watched this clip, which you can find on Ellen Tube or on YouTube, and you see it unfold, like the making of the photo, and it seems very organic in the moment. And who knew that it would literally, break Twitter, the world would explode, and it was that combination of live television and a live mobile moment that people were then able to take part in at home because they saw the picture on their Twitter feed and they could retweet it.
Yeah.
And so that's really what people want to do. They want to interact with your content. And it also says a lot about the Ellen brand too, in how the show and the people on the Ellen team really have embraced digital media as a complete extension, not a duplication, but an extension of what Ellen does every day on television.
Yeah, Samsung, an incredible product placement, almost by accident it feels like, but maybe not. But yeah, I heard that this picture was worth $1 billion is kind of the number that's been thrown out there.
Well, I don't know if I can speak to that, but my favorite part was the pizza delivery, which was also part of that Oscar thing. He was a local pizza guy that the show used. I guess they ordered pizza quite a bit, and his business just exploded on the other side of the Oscar event because he delivered pizza during the live Oscars, and everybody went nuts.
The rest is history.
So there you go.
So, I think mobile, one of the biggest challenges, I think, not only we talked a lot about it today, but is discovery, right? There's millions of apps, and, it's hard to, even when you have a phenomenal or a great app, it's hard to get it discovered. You seem to have, this piece of gold here, which is an incredible platform to bring all of these content extensions to market.
So, I mean, the vision around creating, so I actually work for Ellen Digital Ventures. It's a joint venture between Ellen and Warner Brothers. And it was literally to solidify this as a platform and recognize that it's maybe not by accident that Ellen has over 4 billion YouTube views. She's one of the largest channels on YouTube. Her Twitter mentions, we just talked about Twitter. She's one of the she's by far the largest television celebrity on Twitter. Her Instagram is over 10 million. And what's really fun about it is that, they're not afraid to try new things. So Periscope and Meerkat launched, and all of the sudden, Ellen was periscoping, and the team as well, their viral video meetings, or the moments before she went out stage, or she's going into people's dressing rooms and doing impromptu funny things at the show. And the wild part is, I don't think the Periscope was maybe ready for Ellen, because pretty quickly after they launched, they'd go live from the show, and then the room would be full. Like, no more people could actually enter and chat because there were so many live streams that were being fed simultaneously.
So she broke Twitter, she broke Periscope. I think one of the interesting things that I really didn't know much about is she's got a top 5 paid app on the App Store.
Yeah, it's actually the #1 paid app of 2014.
Anybody know what that app is? Heads Up, right? So
has anybody played it?
Awesome.
It's really fun.
So Heads Up, quite frankly, I don't think, it seems like this room really knew it. We were talking at lunch about it. Wilson Kriegel, who was on a couple minutes earlier, he's like, oh my God, I had no idea that was Ellen's app. Let's talk about this thing. It seems to be unique in the fact that when many app developers are going to free apps, this was a paid app.
Yeah.
99 cents.
99 cents. The great part is that while Warner Brothers has a very robust mobile business, this app came about really organically from the show. There's some pretty talented people at the Ellen Show, as you might expect. There's a digital guy named Daniel Leary, and he, along with some others, thought about, hey, maybe we could make a game that is sort of like charades. And when you think about the Ellen Show, if you've watched it at all, she plays tons of games on the show. Sometimes the audience is even involved. And so, they really wanted to bring the fun of playing together to life. Mm-hmm. And along the lines, somebody thought of this Heads Up mechanic, and it's just blossomed from there. And I think the amazing thing about Heads Up is, its growth is almost titrated by the fact that it's a paid app. In other words, it is now sort of the new monopoly to some extent. There's 2 things there. One is I received a Weight Watchers magazine for free in the mail, and it did suggest that I should have my girlfriends over and play some Heads Up as an active game that we could lose weight while we played.
Awesome.
So I thought that was like a tipping point. And then the second thing is we see increasing growth of it. So this game actually came out 2 years ago, May 2013. And if you look at the rounds of gameplay, there were over 100 million rounds of Heads Up in the first year. We've almost doubled our original number in the second year. So the game is actually continuing to increase. We just launched it in Spanish. We just added a Friends deck. Pitch Perfect 2 has a deck in there right now. So we're continually adding new content to the experience, and with it, people are just, of course, loving the gameplay. And it also, just like Ellen, bridges generations. We see people send in their videos, and it's literally little kids playing with grandparents, or friends playing at a bar, or we hear about people playing at Disneyland while they're waiting in line. And so there's all these sort of unique gameplay attributes that are coming out of the game that, you know, were of course a happy accident, like all good things.
When you think about this game, and obviously it kind of originated as a little side game in a TV show in the US, how do you approach global kind of and customers around the world? You talked about kind of translating it into Spanish, but you know, the app economy is inherently a global marketplace. So how is it done around the world?
Well, it's done actually quite well, and interestingly, because of the international piece, we actually just launched Heads Up Pictures, also a paid app, and we're actually doing a bunch of work to it right now to make it even more fun for kids. But we have gotten so much feedback from especially teachers of English as a second language, and that people are really liking the whole idea of being able to play and not rely just on the words. So I think you'll see a lot more from this franchise. And in fact, the interesting thing, this has already been announced, but Heads Up is now going to be a game show on television. So imagine going from a mobile game all the way now to linear television, and it's entirely because of the success of it. And one last thing about the ecosystem is that Ellen plays Heads Up on the show. And some of the funniest bits I've ever seen, like watching Usher play Bad Behavior with Octavia Spencer, I mean, really, really funny and quite naughty for daytime television.
Awesome. You know, yeah, you talked about this this game now obviously being a little bit in a TV show, now being probably one of the most successful mobile games of our time, and now becoming a TV show. It seems like the licensing model may have changed, right? It used to be TVs and movies would then follow with a mobile game. Do you think that that's changed now in our age?
Yeah, I do. I think that content has changed fundamentally, where the origin point no longer has to have, you know, it doesn't have to start in TV or a movie or a book or mobile. It really is about this fluid, I'll keep using the word ecosystem because it fits so well, you know, where we are fans of the content that we love, whether that's sports or DC Comics or shopping or games like Heads Up. And it's really about mapping that right content to what the fans are looking for. So Ellen, as we were talking about a moment ago, she connotes fun. She's really about good-hearted fun, and people love that. And so a lot of people didn't actually know that Heads Up even had anything to do with Ellen, and many people still don't. And yet, if you watch the show, you see that over and over again, and it's sort of that reinforcement of it. And it just makes people sort of go to the app, check it out, and it refreshes the content, I think, you know, for them as well. Keeps the engagement going quite nicely.
So the success of Heads Up obviously has led you guys to think that this you're onto something here, right?
Yes,
I mean,
we are.
that you know, these casual games are a bit of a phenomenon, but